Good afternoon, everyone. I'm a part of the Tokyo Olympic Planning Committee. I am, in fact, a Japanese person. Please don't ask me my name because then it'll get super racist. So tomorrow are the opening ceremonies, and they're going to be about 4 hours long, no crowds, but we're still going to put on a really big show. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is going to be there, which is going to be pretty dope. So let's just see what we have planned. Okay, so first up on the itinerary is we have us. We have the Tokyo players and teammates coming out, and they're going to be coming out to the Tokyo National Anthem. All of the women are going to be dressed up like Japanese schoolgirls, and then all the boys will be dressed up as the anime style boys that are too cool for school, yet they go to school anyway. And it's just going to make you uncomfortable with how they interact with each other. If you watch a lot of anime, you understand. Then we have Americans coming out, and they have about 6 different iterations of the Pledge of Allegiance for some reason. Don't know why they're so proud. They're all going to be driving around in Ford trucks as well. Then let's see, we got Canada coming out. They're going to be riding down on giant maple leaves on a maple syrup river that they made themselves. Very nice people. Those Canadians, very nice people. Then we have all of Africa coming out at once. Basically the same. You know, just look at them. Then we've got the Russians, and then we got China's coming out at some point. We got the Spain and Brazil. It's gonna be good. We have great things planned, and no one is gonna catch. Everyone has COVID? Oh, jeez.
It's news time. Delivering to you the news you didn't know about, the news you didn't care about, and the news you didn't know you cared about. With host, Chad White. Now, here's that host, Chad White.
Welcome back to News Time. I'm your host, Chad White, and this is the Olympics news you didn't know about. It's that time of every 4 years. The Olympics is back. I'm sorry, Olympics. I was just watching a classic episode of Rugrats, not this all-new, all-CG Rugrats where Grandpa Lou is a pothead. Odd choice. Any Hoosers, the Olympics are back. After taking a year off due to the pandemic, the games are returning during the pandemic. And yes, people are still catching the vid, baby. So far, nothing seems to be going right during Tokyo's turn of the torch. Organizers really didn't want to put on the games. That's why they were delayed into the fall, then ultimately canceled. But so much money is pumped into the Olympics that whether the nation wants them to or not, they're going to happen. Precautions are being taken, of course. We all know there won't be an audience, vaccinated or not, so sports won't happen much like they did in the various bubbles. Not even the Toyota CEO will be attending the games. I assume he's also their emperor of cars, which is not racist, just ignorant. The company itself is also choosing to not run ads due to not wanting to be associated with the Olympics because the event is not exactly popular in Japan right now. Apparently, neither are vaccination efforts because as I write this script, Japan's coronavirus infections are steadily increasing day by day. Not even 30% of Japanese citizens are vaxxed up. Georgia is almost at 50%, and we're full of dummies and racists like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Brian Kemp. That's right, bitches. Always have one joke at the ready. And that wasn't even a joke. I just don't like you dumb racists. To better understand just how serious the Tokyo organizers are taking coronavirus, you should hear from the president of the International Olympic Committee. Oh no, I can't say that name. It's not that kind of show. Well, he has to know what his name sounds like. Why would you take such a high position if your name sounded like that? It's Dick Pound. It's not a joke. Let's just move on. Pound spoke with Kara Swisher on her podcast Sway to give a better understanding as to why these games are still on. In the interview, Pound talks about the stop measures put in place in order to curb viral transmission. You've already heard of the cardboard beds, which is not a sex thing, but there are also rules against touring the city. Don't and not touching or even high-fiving each other. Again, don't. Those are on top of the constant testing and mask-wearing mandates athletes have to endure. Foreign journalists don't get off scot-free because they can be tracked. Pound would continue to talk about what the move would be should there be an outbreak.
So what happens if there's a COVID outbreak at these games? What are the plans for what happens if that's the case?
Anybody who tests positive or anomalously would go into sequestration of a sort in the village until that was resolved.
Who is accountable if it does happen like this? If there's a larger outbreak, if there's, more than just a handful of cases, this is a lot of people and a quantum level. It's a larger bubble than ever before.
I think the answer is what we've done all along is that we're very much in lockstep with the Japanese authorities and the organizing committee and public health authorities.
Who's accountable, though? Where do you imagine people will hold account? Is it the Japanese government? Is it the IOC? Is it Dick Pound?
Well, all kinds of people love to have more than 10 fingers to point blame and so forth. But I think the ultimate responsibility would be the Japanese authorities.
No real answers were given because there aren't any real answers. Tokyo already sunk too much into the Olympics, so they can't back down. The Olympics themselves can't afford to not put on the games. The players and teams can't not compete because for a lot of them, this is it. This is how they make their money and get recognition. You know damn well you don't watch karate when it's on TV, but you sure will when it comes on during the Olympics this year. That's also a real sport. We're rapidly approaching the opening ceremonies. Some of the games have even started. Keep in mind, though, if there is indeed a spread of the coronavirus, the games can still be canceled. Head of the Tokyo Olympics committee or organizing committee, Toshiro Muto, has said that made that abundantly clear. He will turn this car around. It's probably a Toyota. Putting on the Olympics is much harder than anyone can ever describe it. Cities almost never come out on top. Many of them suffer ill effects like broken infrastructure after the games end. Add a pandemic to the equation, and there's no telling what the heck could happen. We'll just have to watch and see. I might actually get Peacock. Damn it, NBC, you got me again. Speaking of things that you can also get, why don't you subscribe and check out one of our other videos? Of course, you could head to the website cpluscomedy.com where there are so many great things that you'll go, why is he doing an episode about the Olympics? You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at cpluscomedy. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ChadBlackWhite. Like us on Facebook. Listen to the Constitutionals podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And aren't you glad I didn't do an opening ceremony cold open?